I'm Joe Lample. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a Greener World, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. Whatever you're growing, vegetables, fruits, herbs, flowers, annuals, perennials, the name of the game is the same: maximize productivity. Get the most out of your garden that you possibly can, because let's face it, we invest so much time, energy, and money into our gardens, we want to maximize that return on investment. And yet we're all dealing with challenges. Whether it's a garden space that feels too small, or maybe it's a slope or hill or a tree that creates shade, or wildlife that gets to our flowers or fruit before we can. Or maybe it's a growing season that just doesn't feel long enough. Well, today we're meeting a gardener that's dealing with all of those challenges and more, and still getting blockbuster results. From finding ways to extend that growing season, to reviving time-tested techniques, or coming up with innovative DIY solutions to challenging problems, or just learning from failed experiments in the garden. But the tips that you'll learn today are ideas that you can implement in almost any garden anywhere, so that your garden can be more productive too. On the outskirts of Minneapolis, Minnesota, Meg Cowden and her family embarked on an adventure of sorts. The idea was to embrace Meg's passion for gardening by growing as much of their own food as they possibly can, despite the obvious challenges that come with living in USDA Hardiness Zone 4B. 3 years into it, Meg's garden is absolutely thriving. But so is something else: her following. Meg has shared every step of her journey, both the triumphs and the troubles, on her highly successful Seed to Fork blog, as well as with her Instagram followers, which now number in the tens of thousands. With her approachable demeanor and accessible teaching style, Meg is helping lead the way for a new generation, connecting with young organic gardeners all over the world, and showing that if she can do it here, it can be done anywhere, no matter how humble the beginnings.
Gardening feels like it's been a part of my life forever. I mean, I kind of can't imagine my life without it, but I also don't even really remember when it started. But if I had to go all the way back, I would go back to college, and indoor plants is sort of like, I think, what hooked me. I mean, our friends, we would exchange plants and cuttings, and from there, it grew literally into, growing outdoors. And once John and I got together, this has always been part of who we are as a couple. And so this garden is very much a part of our relationship and a part of what we build together. So it's been over 20 years that we've been gardening. Yeah. Our very first garden that we ever grew together was simply 5 tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets. Drilled holes in the bottom. They sat on, pavers on the side of our rental house, and that was it. You have to start somewhere, and starting simple, I think, is actually the best place to start. Once we had the 5-gallon buckets, the following year we actually moved to a rental house in grad school where we had land. And one of the first things we didn't ask permission, was we went and got compost from our local compost supplier in our college town, and we brought compost in to the backyard where we wanted to have a garden, and we laid compost and started tilling and building, mounding up in ground raised beds. From the very first time we ever grew something together, I mean, we knew this was part of what the joy that we share together as a couple and as individuals. And growing food has always been just a phenomenally joyful experience for us. So I would never be without a food garden, and it's so joyful. So when we decided to leave the city several years ago, I was looking for property that would accommodate a large garden. But I was looking for no trees, ideally. That was on our list for our property. and it needed to be the right house and the right price, and the treeless area were probably the biggest factors. We're okay working with the soil that we have. I didn't want to have to cut a lot of trees, and we ended up compromising a lot with this because it is on a slope. It's hard to see, but there's some terraced beds, and we had to take one tree out, and there's a stump still here, but I knew I could make this work. I mean, what really sold it was the barn. I mean, how can you not? But the barn frames this garden to me, and as soon as I saw that barn, I knew that I could turn this into a dream garden.
And that's exactly what Meg did, with approximately 1/8 of an acre and over 140 edible varieties, protected behind a tall fence that was a key to the garden's creation. I think one of the common denominators with every gardener is trying to figure out how to keep the pest out of your garden, the big ones and the little ones. Absolutely. And it looks like you've had to address both of those concerns, right?
We have. So we knew that we were moving to an area with an extremely high amount of deer pressure.
Yeah.
So this was the very first thing we installed before we built any beds. We put a deer fence up.
Smart.
Yep.
This is the standard, 8-foot agricultural deer fence?
Yep, it's fixed knot. It's 8 feet everywhere around, and it has been
effective,
bulletproof against the deer so far.
Good.
And because I had experience with rabbits in the city, we also rabbit proofed it at the same time.
So you've got chicken wire for that, yeah?
I do.
Now, does that work for the rabbits and everything else that's smaller than the rabbits?
Well, I found out this past
Not so much,
year.
yeah?
We had voles eat all of my fall beets last year. I mean, they just hollowed them out, and there were trails everywhere. So now I know voles can get through chicken wire.
So you would want to do hardware cloth, smaller openings, yeah?
Yes, and bury it about 6 inches below ground. This is buried, but now I know. You can only do so much. You can only do what you know, and I did the best I could. So the other major garden design element we had to kind of struggle with and decide right away was, what do we do for our paths? Okay, do we mulch them? Do we tear it all out? Do we replant it with something? And we just decided to work within the lawn that existed. It was lawn, it was Kentucky bluegrass. The last owner loved to spray and do all this thing. He loved his lawns, right? That's very typical American suburban areas. So I sod cut all of the beds. I laid them out and sod cut them, and we left the lawn. So we overseeded with Dutch white clover, and that has done really well in a lot of areas. And then this adds a whole nother layer for the pollinators. The garden to me is just the essence of life. I mean, it really is life. It gives life to us, it gives life to insects, and to be able to grow food, I don't know. I mean, I love any kind of garden. I love enjoying formal gardens. Flower gardens are great, but I am really all about growing something that's kind of dual purpose, And so that's where food gardening, I think, is just this beautiful, to me, it's the essence of what any garden could be. I think it's a gorgeous way to have a garden, to actually have it be edible as well. And I love the challenge of making it even more beautiful by intermixing with flowers and bringing the butterflies into your garden and pollinators. And that's what really just brings me so much joy.
Meg, one of the things I love about you is your love for these livestock panels too. You know me and my tomato cages, and I have a lot of them, but I love what you're using right here in the single panels to support all these tomatoes. So tell me your rationale for using this method and how you went about putting this together.
Well, this is our largest tomato garden we've ever had. In the history of growing food, there's 23 plants in here. So in February, we sort of had this crisis moment of thinking, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And for about 2 minutes, I thought, I'm gonna build those cages like you have. Let's go back to cages. But then we decided we want to try, and we wanted to be economical. And we had some leftover panels from last year, and they were already 8 feet in height. And we decided, what the heck, this could be a really economical way of trellising tomatoes. It actually surpassed all my dreams here of what a tomato garden could look like.
Well, what you've gained is a lot of air circulation and a lot of light into here.
So we're kind of growing them two-dimensionally. And, I think I'm training 5 or 6 tomatoes on a 16-foot panel.
Yeah.
That's pretty economical.
Yeah.
Once you invest in this, I think it's a great economy. I think this middle row might be a 16-foot row. 1, 2, 3, 7 or 8 maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of tomatoes in here.
There are.
But it doesn't feel like it to me. It doesn't feel overgrown. It feels efficient, it feels beautiful. I love being able to see the fruit clearly. You have access to them for harvesting. I don't think I'm ever going back.
You know what I also like about this? Talking about maintenance, yeah, you just take out the suckers, but now rather than the plants growing in a cage where you're having to try to feel your way into the plant to take out that diseased foliage, when you do need to cut something out, I mean, it's right front and center. Not only are you able to easily harvest everything, but when you are maintaining the plant, it's just right there for you. I really love this system. I may have to steal this idea from you.
Yeah, well, that would be great.
This is something that I keep telling myself I'm gonna do season after season, and I've yet to get around to it, and it looks so easy to do. Plus, you have that vertical element and a place to come when you need a little bit of shade too.
Right, right.
So tell me how you made it.
Yep, so this is another cattle panel wonder here.
I love it.
We put several cattle panels together. We connected them at kind of the U-post, it's kind of our seam. We overlapped them in that spot, zip tied them together and called it a day.
And those are flexible enough that you just kind of arch them over, and as long as you have something securing it in place, it's kind of done, right? And now this could be a permanent structure.
That is definitely our intention. It's a permanent structure.
And then as far as what you're growing, of course, the sky's the limit there, but tell me what you've decided to plant here.
Yep, so I have climbing nasturtiums on the ends, just for a nice colorful element. I've got two different kinds of cucumbers. I'm growing a Armenian cucumber on one side and a Persian cucumber on the other. And then the last thing I'm growing is cucamelons on both sides as well. This is the second year I've grown them.
Now tell me about that, because that seems to be all the rage these days. People love these. They're kind of a novelty, and I love that little bit of fruit there. That looks like a tiny baby watermelon.
They're adorable.
They are,
Yeah.
and
yeah, they're a novelty to have in the garden. They're still a novelty for me, even though we had them a whole season last year to enjoy and share, and they continue to be a novelty to all my guests in the garden. They're a great little, they're also known as a mouse melon or a Mexican sour gherkin. And I stowed them from seed in late April, and then I transplant them in early June. And they take a little while to take off, but once they get going in the heat of summer, they're obviously very happy and productive.
I love the flavor, and I especially love that little crunch.
Yeah.
From cucamelons on an arbor to a row of 15 espaliered fruit trees that take up about a foot of bed width, Meg is making the most of every square inch.
So just like other elements that we've talked about, we really love having features that are architectural interest in the garden. I think it adds a beautiful element, a year-round element. So this has high tensile wire, and 2x4s are the structures that we attach the branches to as we train them.
Yeah.
So the idea is this will become a living hedge as it grows up.
And a nice
edible living hedge.
Edible living hedge and a nice architectural element, a sound barrier potentially. What are you doing for pest control? Because that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't even bother with this type of fruit is the pest.
Absolutely.
And as an organic gardener, tell me what you're using.
Right, we spray sulfur several times in the spring.
For disease?
For disease prevention, yeah. We try to take a proactive approach with this, whereas in other parts of the garden, I might just wait and see and watch. With fruit, you kind of can't do that if you want fruit. And I'm not even expecting unblemished fruit.
Yeah.
I just want some healthy trees that are resistant to diseases. The other thing we're using kaolin clay this year for the first time.
Yeah.
Which is a protective barrier.
Yes.
We use a backpack sprayer and we just spray the leaves, and it goes on wet and it dries. You can see here a little bit of the remnant.
And it sticks, yeah.
Yep, up and it sticks and provides a film.
And you're also using it here on these raspberry plants. And that's for what? The Japanese beetle? They love.
Oh yeah, they love our raspberry plants.
Right.
We're never going to get rid of them. This is one of these things. We're just trying to figure out how we can coexist. Can we get enough fruit and not have so much damage, keep their population in check? I'm not ever expecting to get rid of them, but I'd like to minimize them as much as I can.
Well, you know, here's a good demonstration of this. You have the kaolin spray here, and you have very little Japanese beetle damage, but you look just right behind it where that spray is either washed off or it never got applied, and look at that. I mean, it's completely different.
Absolutely.
That comparison is night and day.
Using a pesticide just never really crossed my mind, to be honest. And so we just kind of, if there's something that comes up, you know, soapy water, use your hands. I mean, I'm very hands-on, and so the idea of trying to manage it with my own hands, bringing insects in, enticing the insects in by how we interplant, it's really that whole system approach, right? It's you have to look and understand what that bug's role has in the garden. Everyone has a role in the garden, right? So you just need to be able to take the time to understand it. And that to me is like this joy. It's every day there's a new insect here, and they all have a purpose. And so it's my job. I'm along for the ride just as much as they are, and they're here to teach me something, and I'm always learning.
But one thing Meg has to continually learn, just like all gardeners do, is how to deal with their particular climate.
We're here in Minnesota, and we are blessed with just a long winter, longer than anyone could ever dream of. I mean, I can't think of very many people who'd want a winter 4 to 5 months long. It's easily 4 months, could be 5, 5 on some years like this past year. And that gives me a lot of time to think about the garden, like a lot of months. And so by February, we are chomping at the bit to get our hands into a little bit of soil. And so I have really honed that early season growing as a way for me to create this in our short growing season. And you can have an extra early start to the growing season if you hoop. I'll actually use the snow as weights for my low tunnel. It works great. And use what you have, right? I mean, it's there for me, so why not use it? And then I can warm the soil. So it's this waiting game in winter, all right? And so once I get my tunnels up, it's me and Mother Nature and my soil thermometer, and I am just out here stalking to see when I can get my starts out. And so this past winter, I started cabbages the same day I started some of my tomatoes. And I ended up putting them in 4-inch newspaper pots in maybe the end of February. They were huge. They actually were better starts than I'm able to start in summer. If I start my fall cabbages don't look as good. It's almost like the plants know that it's the middle of winter and they want to grow too. I mean, honestly, like this past winter, my starts were out of control. So once the tomatoes are in the ground and they are covered, we keep them covered as long as we can. I want to give them their little bubble because they love the heat. This year we went to extraordinary measures because our winter dragged on so late and we had really cold weather in April. We brought in some of our seedling mats for some of the nights and plugged those in. I've never gone that far. It felt a little too far, but these tomatoes grew so fast indoors. I potted them up twice and they kept growing. Some of them I cut back. They needed to be outside. We did lose some to a late frost, but if I don't lose a tomato once in a while, I'm not pushing myself hard enough.
But don't mistake Meg's habit of pushing herself for being careless in the garden. For example, when a plant needs extra space, she gives it. Now, while Meg may have about 5,500 square feet of ground to work with, she makes even more growing space however she can. Those peppers are looking great, and I think we need to harvest some of those tonight.
Absolutely.
And then here's something I want to talk to you about. Now, you're growing 3 things that I also grow in my garden, but not very many because they're so rambly. They get really big. First of all, the tomatillo and the tomato family. This is great for that green salsa, which I love so much, but you can see, one plant just goes and goes.
It does.
Next to that, you've got squash, which I also love, but again, this is a great example of one plant will kind of take over your whole bed if you let it. And I have raised beds, so I tend not to grow too many of these. And then just like that, you've got cucumbers. Now, in their defense, you get to grow up vertically, and you've got a great trellis here, by the way. What is that, untreated wood as well, yeah?
This is cedar, yeah. This was one of the first trellises we built when we moved to Minnesota about 16 years ago, and it's still kicking.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you're growing or planting cucumbers, I think a lot of people, including myself when I first started, you plant them close together because you think you need to, but you don't realize how much they sprawl. Like, for example, here, this is a full trellis, but how many total plants are growing here?
I have 2 plants on each side, and this trellis is maybe 3 feet wide, about 3 feet wide.
Right.
So they're spaced at least 2 feet apart.
Case in point,
And as you can see, it's almost like you could get away with 1 plant on each side if you really wanted to.
So what do you do to keep them really healthy? Because that's a complaint a lot of people have, is they tend to take on a lot of diseases, but I think they could be more proactive with cutting down on that. Like in your case, you're taking some of this foliage out.
I am. I really like pruning. Part of that, I started pruning my tomatoes more actively this year in a new way, and I decided that my cucumbers maybe could use a little haircut once in a while.
And you've had great results.
I have. I think it's really doing a nice job of keeping the airflow open in here,
and the
keeping
light
the
in.
sunlight,
Yeah.
disease pressure down. So I'm just like tomatoes putting out suckers, I look for suckers on the cucumbers, and this is a great example. This does not need to be here.
Even though you've got future cucumbers here, you still have plenty of cucumbers on your plant.
I do. I'm going to take this one.
Okay, so we're going to take that out.
And I've got another one down here. It's got a cucumber on it, but I could probably just take the cucumber too.
Yeah, you could.
That cucumber looks ready.
Got it.
Awesome. So yeah, I just really try to keep these plants as open as possible while still keeping it productive. It's just a really nice way. It doesn't feel quite as overgrown. August is an overgrown garden, and that's just part of what the garden wants to do this time of year. But I think taking an active role in trimming some of these things really helps extend the growing season that much longer.
Yeah, it absolutely can. One of the main ways Meg maximizes a short growing season is through succession planting. You can stagger sowing times and make the harvest of that crop last much longer than if you plant it all at the same time. Or you can try interplanting, sowing more than one type of vegetable to share the same space at the same time. When you time it right, the quicker growing crop may be ready to pull just as the slower growing crop that's been in the understory all along is finally ready to take over the garden bed. It's having each of your garden beds do double duty, and it's a technique Meg depends on, even if it comes together on the fly. Well, Meg, in your world of succession planting, this is when that blank space gets quickly filled back in.
Absolutely.
So we're doing bok choy today, yeah?
It looks like I have a plan, but I kind of don't have a plan. I mean, I sort of just roll with it. I know where the big things, I know where my tomatoes are gonna go, I know where my earliest succession of brassicas are gonna go, and after that, I sort of wing it. I have to think, I rotate my crops, so I have to think where were things last year, where do I want things this year, what do I want vertically where? So I sort of think about that whole, it's a puzzle, and every year I try to change it up. Where my earliest cabbages were, that's where my second succession of beans goes. Almost every year, that's kind of that's a rotation I like to do. I know I can do it, the timing works, right? They come out in early June, I sow beans, those are ready in early August, and that's great. I get 2 full successions out of that one space, even more if you count the radishes that were grown in there and things like that. The key to succession planting is having a plan, and a plan that you can implement. You don't have to know exactly where everything's going, but just knowing that when a space opens up, that's not it for the year. Every year, the garden is just this playground for me. I mean, it's literally like I am playing in the ground, right? I mean, that is like almost a vocation for me in a way. It's it's so beautiful. I mean, it tears of joy, you know, I just feel so blessed to be out here every day. I've been a closet artist kind of my whole life until maybe this garden, right? I mean, this feels like the first time I've been able to see a vision. I mean, this feels like a piece of art to me. Inside, I always had this creativity that was just longing to express itself. And this, to me, embodies finally achieving what's been, you know, yearning in my heart and what I've been seeing in my mind for so many years.
I've been gardening for over 40 years, and yet I still learn something new from every gardener I meet. But I have to admit, I've been blown away with my visit with Meg, because all the tips and techniques she deploys around this garden, the amount of productivity she gets in a relatively short period of time, it's really amazing, and I can't wait to try some of those ideas when I get back home to the garden farm. But if you'd like to watch this episode again or learn more about Meg, well, we have that information on our website under the show notes for this episode. And the website address, that's the same as our show name. It's growingagreenerworld.com. I'm Joe Lample. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you back here next time for more Growing a Greener World.